Worldwide, women in aviation overall, about 4.9%. We need women in this industry. Hi, I'm Kathy Joe with Aviation Center of Excellence, and this is Aviation Uncovered. Today's episode is about uncovering women in aviation, something that I'm very, very passionate about, and I'm very excited to have the guests that we have today. We have Jessica Matthews, who's co-founder and president of SoFlY Southern Tropics.
Thank you.
Thank you for being here. And Nina Bitten, is that
Yes.
right? Nina Bitten, who is treasurer and also co-founder of SoFlY Southern Tropics. So very excited to have you here with us. Thank you so much. What I'd like to start off with is just talk a little bit about SoFlY, what it is, how it got started. Just share that with us.
Sure. Well, excellent. I really appreciate the time to talk about what we're passionate about, which is Women in Aviation International. So myself and Nina Baton, we're the co-founders, along with two of our other colleagues, and we launched in January of 2023, and we had a record first year. We are the local chapter of Women in Aviation International, which is a global nonprofit with over 18,000 members represented in 120 countries. And there was a need for representation in South Florida. So we didn't have a local chapter, and us girls came together through our normal networks, and we decided to launch. And in our first year, we're now one of the fastest growing chapters in the United States. We've raised over $90,000 in our lifetime of about a year and a half.
That's
and we've
amazing.
also contributed back to the local communities through direct scholarships and endowments.
So what makes SoFlY so special? Why should people join the chapter, become a member?
Sure. Well, SoFlY is special because of our members, our sponsors, and also our local community. And I think what is unique about SoFlY is we encourage, we empower, and we educate. And so one of the sentiments that resonates very special to my heart is if I can see it, I can be it. And so really we just want to spark that initial light bulb or thought of innovation with young girls and show them there are different career trajectories outside of just a pilot, a mechanic, or a flight attendant, for example.
Absolutely. Yeah. Okay, great. So I want to throw out a couple of statistics, and I think you guys have some as well. But so worldwide, women in aviation overall, about 4.9%. We need women in this industry. The lack of manpower in many areas is a challenge that is going to keep compounding. So we need to be creative, we need to be innovative. We also know that there's some challenges bringing women into a male-dominated industry. Let's talk about some of those challenges. What have you seen?
Well, on the challenge side, I think it can be really simplified to representation. So you shared an interesting statistic, and we're in line with those numbers as well. But we do see them trending in a positive direction because of our shared mission and our collective efforts as Women in Aviation International. So just a few years ago at the CEO level, less than 3% of airlines were represented by women.
Right.
And in the last few years, we're seeing that tick up to over 6%. So we're very, very encouraged by those results, but we recognize we have a long way to go as well. So as you're probably familiar, JetBlue appointed a female CEO, recently Japan Airlines as well. So we're really starting to learn the lessons from some of our global competition. And I think America is making the right strides, but there's a lot of work to do, and that's exactly what Women in Aviation and SoFlY Southern Tropics focuses on.
So getting the foot in the door, stepping into this industry can be intimidating. It's a male-dominant industry. It's a tough industry to get into. It's a tough industry to stay in. So Nina, what are some of the challenges that you've seen actually, entering into this industry for women?
Yeah, I can see definitely misrepresentation. So for me, I came to the country in 2016. And my dad was military pilot, and I really was fascinated by the aviation, but I didn't know how to get in. So, and then just from the point when I decided to be in aviation, and I tell my friends, oh, guys, I want to be in aviation. And they say, how cool, you want to be a flight attendant? And I was more thinking about something more serious about that. So, and I think we should definitely give an example that everything is possible, everything that you can only think of, you can do. Some of the other constraints that I can see is the aviation is not really being well promoted in young generation.
Yeah.
So we recently attended Career Expo in a public school, and I was giving a slideshow and presentation to the kids, and it was rotating. Kids were coming to the class, and I was asking every grade, guys, who you want to be when you grow up? And everyone mentioned, I want to be a doctor, I want to be a lawyer, and this is it. And I was like, okay, let me talk about aviation and what career opportunities aviation can offer to you, what kind of variety of things. And I can see that we are just not promoting that enough. And us as aviation leaders, and we have to lead by example.
Yeah.
I know when a lot of people hear about organizations like Women in Aviation International, they say, oh, how cool, let them to work on that.
Yes.
But how about we serve as a community and unite and inspire each of one of us and unite and see what we can do together and make a difference.
So that seems to be a really common thing. We had Barrington Irving on a couple episodes ago, and he also spoke about the fact that we need to start reaching the younger generation, getting them excited about it now. What do you see as overall in industry, not just women in aviation, not just SoFly, not just some of the nonprofits, but as an industry ourselves, how do we start changing that brand? Because, I mean, let's face it, it's aviation has not had the best reputation over the past few years. We need to start changing that. What do we need to do?
I think, first of all, I think to raise the awareness. I know it will still link to the organization, but I think if we raise the awareness in front of the airlines, because I know that we have a big shortage of pilots right now, and lots of airlines are looking for pilots, but they're not looking, unfortunately, to provide scholarships or grants. So they want experienced pilot already that will fly and start making them money.
So investing in the future.
Yeah, we should invest definitely on the future, and we should raise the awareness in front of young generation. So we are organizing a few events this year, and we were able to arrange 3 events, Girls in Aviation Day, and I think Jessica can tell more about it.
Yeah, so let's talk about that a little bit. So you guys had some events last year. You're getting ready to have some events in September.
Yeah.
You want to talk a little bit about that?
Sure, definitely. And I think, that's exactly what we're doing as women professionals, is we are reshaping the face of aviation. And it doesn't matter which segment of the industry it is, as we begin to represent more from the shop floor. You mentioned you focus on AMP certification, et cetera. From the shop floor to the boardroom, as we're more visible, as we're more vocal, we are going to transform maybe what was the old school image of aviation to now a new paradigm.
Yeah.
And I do see strides and I do see progress in that area. And we do it through community outreach and member engagement and also professional development. So with Women in Aviation International, it focuses through all of the life cycle stages of our career. So it starts with the elementary school level, assist them as they go through high school, prepare them for their collegiate aspiration, as they enter the workforce, how to be prepared, and then how to develop as a professional to that executive presence. So that's really our approach on behalf of Women in Aviation International. And what we realize is, even if you're not familiar with our specific mission, we're organically doing this anyway as
Yeah.
women leaders.
Yeah, absolutely.
We're passionate about what we do. We're passionate about our fellow female colleagues, and we're passionate about the next generation. So this is work that's already being done today in our organic grassroots fashion. And now it's just bringing in structure, bringing in resources, and really sharing the mission. And so we share the mission through Girls in Aviation Day. It is a global event through our nonprofit WAI. This year is on September 21st. And in typical SoFly Southern Tropics fashion, we do a series of Girls in Aviation Day.
Yay.
So this year we kicked off our first annual series of Girls in Aviation Tech Day, which I think you'll be very interested to hear about, because the focus was on tech, meaning tech technician and maintenance, and then tech technology. So we had such a great success in 2023 that AAR, a market leader and globally publicly traded company, they reached out to us and said, we love the great work that you're doing, SoFly, and we want to do a Girls in Aviation Day. How do we do it? And so they came to the table as both the venue sponsor and host, as well as a partner of ours. And we focused very specifically on high school and college age students, specifically females. And so AAR viewed this not only as a social outreach project, but also as a recruitment and talent opportunity.
Absolutely.
And so we've partnered with all of the local schools, from high schools, magnet, technical schools, et cetera. And here locally with Miami Springs Senior High School, they have an amazing aviation and aerospace magnet program. And we brought in over 200 students. And it was one of the most impressive events I've actually been in specific to women in aviation. We had drones, we had AI, we had machine learning. We went through a day in the life of an AAR technician. We also had aircraft display that we were able to tour, for example, Southwest Airlines and United Airlines. So we have a great response from the industry, and I think we're making a lot of noise, and it's really trending in the right direction.
So where's the event in September?
So this 21st of September will be at Shelter Aviation. We'll be returning to our home base in Fort Lauderdale.
Okay.
And then 1 week later, the following Saturday, we'll be at Fountain Blue Aviation, another one of our strategic partners. And so we're expecting over 1,000 students in attendance at each event for a total of 2,000. And we couldn't do it without our members, volunteers, and sponsors.
So if somebody was interested in finding out more information or maybe even attending the event, where would they go for that information?
Definitely. Well, please come to our website, which is SoFlY-WAI.org, and also follow us on our social channels, which is at SoFlY-WAI, and you'll be able to check out our events page. Of course, it is a free and complimentary event, and we really target ages 8 to 18, but we also welcome all of the chaperones and collegiate students as well.
So is this specifically geared towards young girls?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
So it is a global event, and we do focus on that demographic because that's where we think is the greatest window of opportunity to capture their interests and inspire them really to either be an enthusiast of our aviation industry, hopefully a student, and then eventually a professional as well.
So what have you seen through these events that when you're working with the young women, what captures their attention? What creates that spark, that passion through just either seeing that big, beautiful plane or working on things? Or what is it that you see is really capturing that for them?
Honestly, I think it is the connection that they make with female role models.
Yeah.
So, you know, in today's society, a lot of times you lose human connectivity, and maybe we have not had a great focus on the mentorship and mentee model at the school level as well as collegiate and professional. So I think the fact that we have women that are a diverse background, both ethnically and also professionally as well, and they're able to see somebody that looks like them, that talks like them, that's local to the area, and I think that really resonates with them, and they look up to them as a future female role model. And that's something that we want to stay connected to.
So I think that's one of the big challenges as an industry that we have to overcome. So women do operate a little bit differently. That connection, those mentorships, the ability to see somebody else in that role go through it too, it's something that helps not only attract women into the industry, but keeps them in the industry. And that's another piece. It's not just bringing people in, it's keeping them. Okay, so one of the things I'd like to get into and talk a little bit about is let's go back a few years. Talk a little bit about the history and why there is such a gap in women in aviation. Nina, what do you think about that?
Well, I think so. Aviation was assumed always to be male dominated, and they were all male pilots in the industry. And then the first lady that was flying, Emily Earhart, she was the example of pursuing what she wanted to do. So that pushed a little bit forward presence of women in the industry. I can see right now successful stories of women being in maintenance and engineers and mechanics when men sometimes wouldn't think that they could do it. So I think definitely, as Jessica mentioned, a lot of CEOs right now holding the positions of the airlines, which will attract more leaders and females in the industry. So I can see the tendency that it's changing, but
it's growing.
we have to increase that rate. So right now, I can see roughly like about 6-7% of women in the industry right now, and the rest is men.
Yes.
So, and since we are
But that's
lacking
up from
right
just
now,
a few years ago.
yeah, and since we're lacking right now, in general, engineers, technicians, mechanics, in general, not only female but male as well. So I think we should promote definitely more aviation and aerospace as career path for everyone, not only young generation, but also someone who is looking to pursue a new path in the career.
Yeah, yeah. So you had mentioned like when Amelia Earhart started getting out there and was becoming famous, more women it become more acceptable to have a woman pilot, which hadn't really been a thing before. And having that example of people like us, that look like us, that talk like us, out there is really important. So Jessica, I know we talked a little bit about the mentor piece. What do we need to do to start creating more female mentors to help create not only that sense of normalcy that women can be within this industry, but also to help grow and advance and retain women in this industry?
Well, it's such an important message, and it does take very special leadership to really communicate that message to the future generation of aviation. So one of the areas that I focused on is spotlighting these types of mentors. So you might be familiar with Teresa Claiborne, was the first African-American pilot in the Air Force, and she was also the first African-American pilot for United Airlines. So she just recently retired, and she is also on the board of Sisters of the Skies. And they do great work as well, not only raising awareness to females, but also to minority classes as well, which when you drill down to the statistics is even more alarming.
Yes.
Not just female underrepresentation, but minority underrepresentation as well. So we reach out to these natural leaders and mentors to spotlight them through our social media channels to raise awareness of what their mission is and what are their events and activities that they're doing. Many times they participate in podcasts, they're accomplished authors.
Yeah.
So we try to drive traffic towards their message. We recently reached out to the 5th female pilot for the Thunderbirds, Macy Curran, and we're hoping she's going to be a keynote speaker at Girls in Aviation Day on September 21st.
Wow.
So what we like to do is really recognize who are the rising stars in our industry and give them a platform that really speaks to our local community here in South Florida, to the islands. And that's exactly what we do at SoFly Southern Tropics, Women in Aviation International. I mentioned Girls in Aviation Tech Day, where we had a panel discussion with 6 market-leading women from Boeing to Southwest to United to Spirit. So it's really just giving them a stage and a platform, because the more vocal we can be, the louder our message will be. And specific to mentorship, we do it at the grassroots level. So we have something called WAI Connect, and it's essentially an online mentorship platform. And so, for example, right now I'm an active mentor, mentoring for mentees. And you basically fill out a leadership profile. You can do this at wai.org. And really you kind of showcase what are your skill sets and what are you passionate about. And then WAI will pair you based on your profile with a mentee. So if the mentee is looking for coaching on public speaking, for example, they're going to be paired with a mentor that has that in their attribute on their profile. So it's very simple to do. You know, we thrive in an online tech-driven environment. So it's something that you can do with WAI. It's something you can do locally within your own home, your own neighborhood. It's really just asking the kids, being engaged with the kids when you're at the dinner table, when you're at the playground. It's a valid question to ask. What do you want to be when you grow up? And as Nina said, a lot of the kids respond with doctor or lawyer because those are the traditional trajectories.
Exactly.
And we might feel that Ivy League is the only true example of success. But there are many career opportunities. It could be in a mechanic capacity. It could be in an engineer capacity. And that's also a gap that we're seeing, particularly in America, is STEM education. And the world continues to outpace, and the developed countries continue to outpace America because we're not putting a focus on science and technology and engineering and mathematics.
Right.
And now we've even heard the term STEAM, where we incorporate the arts. And that's something that we also do, because in order to design a blueprint or maybe develop a new model aircraft, you have to have artistic capabilities as well.
Or just to come up with new innovation.
Exactly.
You have to have that creative mindset. So let's talk a little bit about, you'd mentioned opportunities. And sometimes people think about just a pilot or mechanic, and that's it. So let's talk a little bit about what the opportunities within aviation are, because they're a lot more than what people really assume that they are.
Definitely. And that's a great question. As Nina mentioned, a lot of the kids are saying doctor and lawyer. Well, we have a very strategic partner that focuses on aviation legal representation and aviation insurance solutions. Many people are not familiar with this until you work within the industry. So the whole mantra, if I can see it, I can be it, really resonates well, because it's just sparking that curiosity and sparking that area of interest. In my personal story, I worked for UPS, one of the largest airlines and one of the largest logistics company in the world. I never imagined that I would have had a career in logistics. You know, I was on the trajectory to go to law school, and I decided to pivot out of that. And then I was able to carve out a very unique niche of aviation supply chain logistics. And that allowed me to pivot from being a logistics provider to now, for example, a parts trader and working in aviation asset management. So when I was in kindergarten, I never said I'm going to grow up and work in aviation, because I didn't have those mentors and I didn't see those career opportunities. So our professional diversity is vast, especially being in South Florida. I know you see a strong presence in the MRO community. Since joining SoFlY, I've had such a great exposure to business aviation and private pilots and aircrafts. It's something I had never been exposed before. And to go to Fontainebleau Aviation and see the beautiful resources that are available right here in our backyard in Miami is great. And as we go on site to these sponsor places of employment, we always ask them, you know, what jobs are available. And the great thing about aviation, despite a global pandemic, we're always hiring. There's always opportunities.
Always. And it's not just like you said, mechanics or even logistics or pilots. It is HR, aviation and HR, purchasing within HR, leadership development or purchasing within aviation, leadership development within aviation, technical stuff, drones, AI, all of that's going to change the industry itself. Those are opportunities for people. So don't think small with it. Think big. Anything that you want to do, you can do within aviation. And I have a passion for those big, beautiful airplanes. I always loved going to the airport and watching those planes, but I never saw myself as a mechanic. But I can still make a difference in the industry doing what I'm doing.
Exactly.
So if you've got a passion for it, you can add value, right?
Agreed.
Okay, so let's talk a little bit. We've talked about all of these opportunities. for development, for growth, career opportunities. Let's talk about some of the educational opportunities to step into the industry. So, Nina, what are some of the options that people have to be able to get into some of these career pathways?
Last year, we partnered with Broward Aviation Institute, and they have the Aviation Institute with a lot of programs, and it's a big diversity of careers that kids can get. So, which is air traffic controller, MP mechanic, power plant mechanic, pilots, which is also they can get a commercial and private pilot license. And we were able to support 5 students last year to get scholarships.
Wow.
Yeah, so we were proud to meet them in person last year at the nomination, and to actually we interviewed them. We had like a lunch meet and greet, and we interviewed, and we were able to speak on a personal level what are the obstacles they have in their career path, and they are really they working hard and studying hard, and
Yeah.
their biggest obstacle is actually not even the institute tuition, the school tuition, but the flight hours, which is very expensive for them.
Yes.
So they sometimes have to get 2 jobs just to complete their flight hours, and many students unfortunately are dropping off just because of the financial issues and problems, and it's difficult mentally also. So I would like to emphasize, because we really were inspired by the students and the impact that we can actually just, because when we met them in person, they were so happy because they felt that they are not just alone.
Yeah.
Because it's not just like, okay, we are giving you sponsorship, but we don't want to be engaged. So when we spoke to them, we decided to create a student committee. So they are free of charge and at our SoFlY, and we provide mentorship. So there are a few girls that are the more mainly activists, and they actually engage other students to be in a studentship committee. So our goal is to help not only with scholarships and grants, but also help them to get a job. So that's
living
why,
example of why that mentorship is so important. So
Yeah.
all that we talked about before was great. That is a beautiful example of that.
Yeah, so we want to support also them on finding the job, and not only to get education,
Yeah.
but also finding them the right airline where they can
Okay.
fly, and I'm sure we can just work on that impact together, and
Yeah.
we can make that impact.
So getting women into aviation is one thing. Keeping them here is different. And so I want to get real for a little bit here, because you guys have been in the industry for a little while. I've been in the industry for a little while. We've all experienced and seen some of the dark side of the industry. Women in aviation, some of the things that is a challenge is a lot of times women have children. And being able to balance such a demanding career, because let's face it, this is a demanding career, a lot of stress, it's not always easy. Balancing that with having a family is a challenge. Not having the representation is a challenge. Another piece that is also a big challenge, and this is a lot of people makes them uncomfortable talking about this, but we got to talk about it. It's a male-dominated industry. Women coming into the industry, sexual harassment is a unfortunate reality that we have to face, deal with, and overcome. So what are some of the things as an industry we need to do to recognize that and to start correcting it?
Great question. And I know it's a very sensitive topic that a lot of people aren't really comfortable discussing, but it's an
Yes.
important topic. And the only way we can normalize it is to talk about it.
Exactly.
So thank you for bringing it to the discussion. So yes, sexual harassment does exist. Yes, in male-dominated industries, it's more prevalent. And so, in my opinion, long gone are the days of the good old boys club and locker room talk. We need to be vocal. We need to stand up against it. We need to unite as fellow females, sisters, daughters, mothers, and we need to have a zero tolerance policy. And something that we've done specifically at SoFlY is we've created what's called the SoFlY C-Suite Pledge. And what we do is we've adopted principles that were drawn upon from women equality in the workplace and a lot of literature and statistics produced by the United Nations. And what we've done is we've challenged CEOs of aviation companies to make the SoFlY C-Suite Pledge. And many of the focus of the pledge is creating a safe and comfortable workplace for females and for their employee base overall. And we've also introduced a hotline for sexual harassment from a national organization. And we've asked these CEOs to essentially make the pledge, put their signature on paper, and also report back annually on statistics of where are the hiring practices, what is the distribution from entry level to senior leadership to board, and then also what are they doing to make sure that they're raising awareness that sexual harassment does exist, it will not be tolerated, and this is an important initiative for their human resources.
And what kind of success have you seen with that?
So we've just launched it, and we received our first signature from the Greater Miami Aviation Association.
Excellent.
So we're very proud to secure that first signature. And so we're really rolling it out. So this is our initiative that has just launched in the last 30 to 45 days. And we're hitting the pavement. We're knocking on doors. Many of those doors are here local to the Miami aviation community, and we're seeing a great response. So we're going to start doing a lot of marketing around it and bring it to our constituency so they can see.
So let me just say right now, Aviation Center of Excellence would be happy to sign that as well.
Excellent.
And we might even, if it's something that you're interested, we can have a course on how to recognize, how to address it, how to overcome it, to help spread the word, help get people, because it's uncomfortable. It doesn't matter where you're at. If for CEOs, it's uncomfortable. For somebody who's on the floor, who's down on the ground, work doing it, who might be seeing it happening, this happens all the time. This is normal. Or I'm uncomfortable with this, but I'm afraid to say anything. So how do we approach that? Be happy to do that, because those kind of discussions, that kind of information needs to be out there more.
Definitely.
Is what do you actually do when you see it?
Definitely.
How do you be brave enough to go, that's not okay?
And, you know, when I look back at my 15 plus year career in corporate America, I can't think of one point in time where we even had a discussion on sexual harassment or were provided resources and hotlines.
Right.
It was always a come to work task of maybe you were signing the employee handbook, and it was something that was just brushed over, but it wasn't something that, in my opinion, was taken seriously. And, you know, not to be political, but you've seen a lot of movements specifically around women equality and women's safety in the workplace, and that's really raising awareness from a global platform. And aviation, again, being male dominated, many of the CEOs that are in a position today grew up in that culture.
Exactly.
And grew up in that mindset. So they might be in the ivory tower today and distanced from it, and we're trying to bring them back in to the shop room floor, to the boardroom, to the cafeteria, where
reality.
Where these human conversations are taking place. And, you know, to be devil's advocate, some of these men might not be aware of what's appropriate and what's inappropriate.
Absolutely.
So it's also a very delicate educational conversation of what we expect as women, what will be tolerated and what will not be tolerated.
And so I'll go a little bit deeper. I'll also say it goes on both sides. Women take advantage of it, men take advantage of it. It's not just all you guys are the bad guys or you guys are the victims or this or that. It is a cultural thing all over, and we all own a piece of that. So there's a lot more work that needs to be done, but the fact that we're already starting down that track is fantastic. And I think that'll go a long way in helping retention for women in the industry. So it's one thing to get in, but again, if we want this to be your career, it has to be a safe place for you to be. If it's not safe, I'm not going to stay.
Of course.
And I wouldn't expect anybody else to either.
Of course, and there's certain airlines that will remain nameless that are known for those types of working environments, and we see exodus of, for example, female mechanics from particular airlines to other more innovative and forward-thinking airlines that embrace a culture of change. And this is the change that needs to take place. Not only do we need equal footing at the boardroom table, but we also need to be respected as the females that we are as well.
Exactly. And that diversity of thought, the diversity of experiences, the diversity that you bring into it, just being a woman, how you approach challenges, how you approach conversations, how you approach problem solving, it's all there. We bring a very unique perspective to that. And I think that that's something that is missing in the industry. So the other thing that I mentioned a bit ago, and I know that this is a challenge within the industry too, is a lot of women stepping into it are mothers. A lot of them are single mothers. What can we as an industry or organizations do to help facilitate that transition some? Because we are a very time-oriented business, and it's a demanding business. What can we do to help with those mothers?
I think there are definitely a few things we can just embrace in change. So, for example, the company can offer a hybrid job because I know many corporations have policy, it's only office job and they are not allowing to work from home. But it's very important for a woman that have kids and family sometimes to be able to do the hybrid job. And then let's say if it's a big company with 50 people in the office, and then if there are, let's say, 20 women with kids, then why they wouldn't have a little room equipped to play with kids, or to allow women to leave a little earlier sometimes. So just like a little things, I think that the woman would feel more support, and that would be probably like appreciated from a woman, on my opinion.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with you. And they are different than how business is done now in a lot of ways, but these changes aren't big changes. They're small little tweaks.
Well, I've read somewhere in the article that Indigo airline actually they created a room to play for kids in the office. For the employees that have kids.
Yeah, that's great.
Which is very cool.
And are you or did you in the article, did it make a difference?
I am sure they do, but I'm not sure what kind of difference they made. But I just briefly read somewhere. But it's actually really cool, because I think I would definitely bring my kids to the office to play and to inspire them to be in aviation, because I think I love what I do. I know that it's my purpose. I like to wake up in the morning without alarm, because I know that that's what's important. That's when I feel that can make a difference. And I really wish everyone can be so passionate about the industry.
Well, your passion is definitely there. I can feel it. So
thank you.
So, ladies, this conversation can probably go on forever. And just so you guys know, we had a long conversation before we even started that was like very, very powerful. But unfortunately, we do have to wrap it up. But I do want to say thank you very much, Jessica Matthews and Nina Baton, and SoFly Southern Tropics, for everything that you guys do. Again, what are the dates for your events? I want to make sure that people are aware of that so they can come.
Yes, definitely. So September 21st on Saturday from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. at Shelter Aviation at Fort Lauderdale Hollywood International Airport. And then 1 week later, September 28th, returning to Fontainebleau Aviation at Opa-locka Executive Airport.
Great, thank you. Thank you guys for joining us. I'm so happy to have you here. And until next time.
Thank you.